here's some good news, some real measurable good news. We recently asked 900 likely Nebraska voters who plan to vote this November whether or not they trust our elections. And nearly 9 out of 10 of them said yes. Let me say that number again. It actually was 89%. Okay, not 89% of one party, not 89% of people who already agree with one another on everything else, but 89% of Nebraska voters. Now, a couple details. We commissioned this poll, the Good Life Institute did, 900 likely voters in June. And we asked a pretty simple question. It was, quote, generally speaking, would you say elections in Nebraska are secure, somewhat secure, not very secure, or not secure at all? And 56% said very secure. Another 33% said somewhat secure. Add those up, you get 89% of Nebraskans who say they trust the system. Only 6% said they didn't, and 5% weren't sure. Now here's the part that's most interesting. You break that number down by party, and it barely moves. 90% of Democrats say our elections are secure in Nebraska. 88% of Republicans say the exact same thing. And then that most growing part of our electorate, the independents, or nonpartisans as we call them in Nebraska, 88% of them say so too. I mean, that's kind of remarkable. In 2026, when you can't get 3 people in a room to decide on, to agree on what day of the week it is, that's pretty remarkable. It shouldn't be, but it is. Because, you know, this poll doesn't exist in a vacuum. As you know, recently President Trump, he went on TV in prime time and he raised a bunch of allegations about election security. There were claims about voting systems, about foreign interference, about systems being vulnerable, you know, all these things. He didn't provide any new evidence, you know, that any past election was actually affected by fraud. And of course, all of the independent fact checks of his speech found that his claims were exaggerated or frankly didn't hold up at all. So it's relevant. And just to be clear, our poll was fielded in June, before any of all that. So what we're looking at is a baseline here. This is what Nebraskans believed before Trump ginned up this national conversation again. But the poll did come out after May 12th, which was when Scott Peterson beat Bob Evnen in the Republican primary for Nebraska's Secretary of State. Now, Scott Peterson ran in part on the argument that, quote unquote, Nebraskans don't trust our elections enough. Evnen, this 2-term Secretary of State Republican, said, he spent that whole campaign basically calling Nebraska's elections the gold standard. He was basically telling the truth, but in a low turnout GOP primary in an anti-incumbent year, that may have sunk him. So here's the thing about trust. It's easy to talk about trust's erosion. It's easy to find the headline about the one guy at the county fair who thinks the machines are rigged, or listen to the online troll who throws fact-free bombs around about elections that they don't like how they turn out. It's a lot harder, and honestly, a lot more useful, to just ask people directly. And so when we did, the answer really wasn't all that complicated. Nebraskans trust how we run our elections. Democrats do. Republicans do. Independent nonpartisans do. Young voters do. Old voters do. Men do. Women do. All of us, nearly all of us, do. That's the kind of shared ground you can actually build something on. Now, we have more about this poll, party breakdown, age, gender, all of it, up on our Substack at the Good Life Institute. That's substack.com/@GoodLifeNE. If you're interested in seeing how we're more alike than we are different, maybe go check that out.